Good morning. Thank you for joining us on Center Stage, Nonprofits of Tucson. We have really cool opportunities to hear about things that are happening in Tucson and to hear about the people who are making it happen and the people who are being impacted by just some really incredible opportunities. I do want to let you know before we get started into the show today that things are going to change soon. So through the end of May, we will still be on air on Saturday mornings, so you can tune in for the rest of the month. But we are going to be switching to a podcast-only format. And when we do that, you will be able to find us just like you can now on all of the major platforms. So search Center Stage, Nonprofits of Tucson. And you can also find us at Center Stage Tucson on Facebook and Instagram. So just so you know, we will be moving, but we've got the rest of the month together on air. So thank you so much. Today we have Allison Wexler, the Executive Director of Tucson Jewish Free Loan. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And we have John Bialis, a board member. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me as well.
So I'm really excited to hear about the program that you guys have and what the opportunities are that are available. So Allison, can I have you just tell us a little bit about the program and a little bit about how it started?
Sure. Tucson Jewish Free Loan has been offering interest-free loans to people in need in Pima, Cochise, and Santa Cruz County since 1947. It's only recently that we've began to deepen our community impact and have more folks know about us, but we have been around for over 75 years, and we really just choose to offer interest-free financial assistance to help folks with a temporary setback so that we can keep temporary financial setbacks from becoming permanent financial hardship.
75 years?
Yeah.
That's a long time.
They say we're Tucson's oldest baby because we're just getting started.
That's awesome. I love that you are focusing on helping people so that a temporary setback doesn't become permanent, because we all have heard stories. We've all experienced things that they affect you for a long time. And so having a little bit of help can really make a huge impact. Who can apply for these loans?
Well, we are available for applications from people in Pima, Cochise, and Santa Cruz County who are over 18. We do offer loans to people of all faiths. I want to make sure that that is clear. And you just need to have a bank account and show that you can afford a loan payment.
Do you have to have credit? Like, do you pull a credit report and go through that process like a standard bank?
We thank you for asking that. Yes, we on occasion do pull a credit report, and on the loan application we ask that you sign off to give us permission to pull a credit report, but we don't always pull one, and the credit score is just one piece of the criteria that we use to approve a loan.
And there is an application that you have to fill out and a process to go through. And so during that process, from the day that you apply until the day that you find out if it's approved or not, what would be kind of an average amount of time that might go by?
If we're super busy, it can take up to about 30 days. But typically we're able to, once we have all of the documents and everything is complete, we can usually turn a loan around in about 2 weeks.
Wow. That's pretty quick. I mean, if someone has got something that's really important and needs to be done right away, I'm sure that, there's a little bit in the process to help someone quickly, but 2 weeks is very quick when it comes to getting a loan.
Thank you for saying that. Yes, we work really hard to try and be efficient and expedient with the process because we know folks need what they need, and we want to keep them from going to other more predatory lender sources, but we also can't do same-day funding. So I want to be clear that if what somebody needs is emergency financial assistance, same-day funding, we try to help connect them to other resources instead, because it's just not, it's beyond the scope of what we do, but we can do really important work if you give us a little time.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. And the opportunity, we kind of had talked a little bit before we started talking on air, just about some of the opportunities and some of the reasons that someone may be needing this. Can you just describe kind of a range of why someone may need funding? And, is there a limit to how much they can ask for?
Yeah, great question. So We see a lot of folks who are trying to pay off credit card debt. Our maximum loan, we're a micro lender, so our maximum loan is $5,000. So anyone with a credit card bill of $5,000 or less can really take advantage of applying for an interest-free loan. They're still going to pay what they owe, but they'll stop the interest in its tracks, which can be a really advantageous way to get ahead in their financial wellness journey. We also see folks who maybe they were in a car accident and their insurance is going to pay for most of the expenses, but if there's $1,000 deductible, they may really need some assistance to help cover that. I think the statistics say that 7 out of 10 Southern Arizonans report living paycheck to paycheck. So an unexpected expense can really threaten their financial stability. And that's the kind of thing that we can help with. We also see folks paying off when they jumped in to help a family member, when they had a crisis, or just folks who are, their air conditioner breaks and they need to get something handled and they don't want to take on any more debilitating debt.
Well, and, I am in real estate. And so talking about credit, talking about, unfortunately, things that get put on credit cards, it comes up a lot. And interest rates sometimes are up to 30%. I mean, you see some crazy interest rates where if they're making that minimum payment, they're not going to be able to pay it off with that minimum because the interest just keeps adding it more and more. And so the debt accrues so quickly. Mm-hmm.
It creates, generational debt instead of what our vision is generational. So, we had an applicant come to us. She turned into a borrower she was trying to refinance her house when she was going through a divorce. It was going to be put in her name and she had to refinance it. And for that to happen, she was having trouble getting a loan because there was so much credit card debt from the marriage. So she came to us to pay down the credit card debt so that she would qualify for the proper loan to get refinanced. So she had more money in her pocket, and she was able to refinance and stay in her home. We see stuff like that a lot, yeah.
And again, we have a radio show that actually airs right after this one talking about real estate. And we have a lot of times we're talking about how something like that can completely change your credit score. It can completely change what you're able to do because it's so important to make sure you stay on top of that, to make sure your debt isn't too high. Those things, they make a huge difference.
We had a borrower show us his credit card statements. He wanted to show how much he had it in his balance. And I looked at the little thing that said underneath his balance, it said, if you continue to make the minimum payment, this will be paid off in 11 years.
Oh, wow.
I mean, so he borrowed from us to pay that down. And it's been about, I think, 2 or 3 years now, and he's paying. He makes small payments. We determine with the borrowers a payment amount that they can afford, and we don't charge any penalties if they're late. They just have to call us and let us know that they need a couple of more days or a couple more weeks to get their payment in.
I was going to ask that. So in the financing of their loan, we talked about there being an application process, and that part of that, I'm sure, is to make sure that someone has the intention of following through and paying it back, and that they're doing what they need to do in order to continue moving forward in that. But is there a set amount of time or kind of an expectation as far as payback for this loan?
Yeah, great question. The expectation is within a 2-year time frame. But it's unrealistic to think that someone wouldn't encounter an additional unexpected setback during a 2-year time period. So we can be flexible depending on the circumstances. And if the loan is lower, maybe it's $1,000, we can work with the borrower to either pay it off more quickly, depending on their income. So we custom fit the loan repayment schedule to suit the borrower to set them up for success.
It's such a unique program because there aren't opportunities out there to just go and to get that little bit of help. I mean, like you mentioned, trying to help them before they go to a more predatory opportunity. Thinking about people who are going in and turning in the title to their car to try and get some quick cash. And I don't even know what the interest rates or repayment penalties or anything. But I mean, in a position like that, being able to take time, 2 years is a good amount of time to pay back that amount as opposed to having to try and come up with double the money quickly.
Correct. I mean, if I can convey any one thing from this opportunity to speak to the audience, is that come to us before you go turn your title over. It's a lot easier for us to help get you out of an unexpected expense than it is to get you out of a title loan. They sometimes charge the finance charge regardless of if we pay the balance due. So it's, I just would love for folks to come to us before they get into that kind of predatory debt. We have on occasion been able to pay off people's title loans for them, and we will certainly try. But it can be, those lenders can make it pretty challenging because they're designed to have people pay for the rest of their lives. So we just need them to come to us before.
So how would someone apply for a loan? Where do they go? What's the website or phone number? Or if they have questions, how do they reach out to you?
Our website is www.thefreeloan.org. And on our website, there is a button that says Get a Loan. And you just click that button and fill out a loan inquiry form. It comes to our office, and when I say our office, I mean me, because I'm the only staff person. And it will, I will review it and get the right application into the applicant's hands, and we go from there.
And is there a good phone number to reach out to you?
Yeah, it's 520-297-5360, and our phone hours are 9 to 3. You can email info@thefreeloan.org. That actually may be a quicker way to reach us because we don't always have the phone handy.
Okay, well, thank you. We have Allison and John here from Tucson Jewish Free Loan, and we are going to go into the break in just a minute. We'll be back with lots more opportunities and hear some stories of impact from this great opportunity. As a reminder, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Center Stage Tucson. And we will be transitioning into a podcast-only format, so make sure you look at any major platforms. You can find us Center Stage Nonprofits of Tucson. We'll be right back. We are back. Thank you so much for being here with us on Center Stage Nonprofits of Tucson. We are talking with Allison Wexler and John Bialis from Tucson Jewish Free Loan. So we heard a little bit from Allison in the first segment about kind of who they are and what it is that they're doing and the opportunities that are available for someone to get a loan. And it can be anyone who's applying for these loans, but who can go in and get a loan that's interest-free. And, John, we mentioned that you are a board member, but I'd like to hear a little bit about kind of what made you want to be involved in this and what it is that really kind of struck a chord with you.
Sure. So about a year ago, I was at a Social Venture Partners event, which I'm also a partner of. And I ran into Allison, and she started telling me about some of the work that Tucson Jewish Free Loan does, in particular, the veteran loan program. And she told me some of these personal stories that just blew me away. And she talked about some upcoming fundraising she was trying to do for that. And really, from that moment on, I couldn't stop thinking about some of the stories she told me that evening. And I had the opportunity through Social Venture Partners to get more involved and eventually join the Tucson Jewish Free Loan Board. And it's been an incredible organization to be a part of.
How long have you been on the board?
Just 4 months now.
Oh, okay. So kind of recent.
Very recent, yes.
So recent and exciting, right?
Yes.
So what are some of the programs? You just mentioned a veteran program. I know there are some different kind of focuses on different places in the community. What are some different focuses that you can share with us?
Sure. I'll certainly let Allison speak to them a bit more. But there's an employee loan program. So there are loans available to partner organizations that Free Loan partners with to give loans to employees of other nonprofits or other organizations. And one of the neat things about that is it is set up via payroll deduction where the employees can get an interest-free loan. If they have a setback, they're not out there having to get a title loan with very high interest rates or rack up a high credit card bill. One of the more recent programs is with Casa Maria, which is located in South Tucson. South Tucson's a very small geographic area, but there are many residents at risk of losing their homes that have been in their families for generations because of tax liens. And one of the ways the partnership is working with Casa Maria is to extend loans to those homeowners so that they can stay in their homes and pay off their tax liens.
That right there, I mean, if you think about it, taxes are something that some people, I would say, are going to kind of forget that you have to pay property tax because it's part of their mortgage. You know, usually the the taxes and the insurance, and then if you have like a mortgage insurance, you know, those things are all packed up into your payment, and so you kind of forget that they're there. But if you've had a home that's been in the family for a long time and is paid off, you don't have a mortgage, you still have to pay taxes. You have to be able to take care of that, you know, twice a year, your taxes come due. And so that is something that, I mean, I could very much see it could be forgotten. And then once it's forgotten, those liens, you can lose a home for it. And I mean, that right there would be a major setback.
I'm really proud of the work that we're doing in South Tucson. Casa Maria became aware of the fact that it was about 200 homeowners in that 1 square mile city of South Tucson who are at risk of losing their homes for a tax lien of $1,000 or less. So we committed to making the loans, and the barrier is very low. So they don't need to go through the same approval process. They just need to trust us. So we're going to set up an event. I think we're talking about a way to make sure that these folks we can build trust in the community, because I think when you have the word loan in your name, sometimes people are suspicious or cautious because it can be really scary to take on debt. So we're working together to build trust in the community. And then once that happens, we'll be able to just like set up an event where we can just get their contact info and write the checks. I'm just really, really excited about that work, because the housing crisis is such in this community that, like, if we can keep more people in their homes, we're going to really be making a significant impact.
Absolutely. Affordability of housing has just, I mean, it is so hard right now on so many families. And so being able to help people stay in their homes, I mean, it is a huge undertaking, but it's also such important work.
I was just going to say, that's just one of the partnerships that we have. Obviously, as John was saying, we were partnering with other employers to offer the interest-free loan benefit to their employees, which is great. But we also rely on partnerships with other social service providers in the community, like the YWCA and Interfaith Community Services, Job Path, Make Way for Books, Girl Scouts, Parent Aid, and a variety of others, right? We partner with a lot of organizations, but the ones I named are part of a collaboration that is supported by Social Venture Partners Tucson. They're 2Gen collaboration. There's 8 of us, and we work together to provide wraparound services for the entire family. So while Tucson Jewish Free Loan doesn't give loans to toddlers, we are certainly making a toddler's life better if we're promoting financial wellness in their family. So
absolutely. And that collaboration between partners makes the impact even more. You know, it furthers what everyone's able to do, so that coming together, you can, as you're mentioning, you know, address multiple issues within the family to make sure that everyone has what they need, and to make sure that that family has the absolute best opportunity moving forward. I don't want to move too quickly. So are there other programs that you want to mention before I jump into asking about potential donors?
Nope, let's talk about donors.
Okay. So I guess before we jump into that, I am going to ask you one more time, if someone is listening and they want to apply for a loan, what is the website that they could go to do the application?
www.thefreeloan.org.
So on the donor side, there are, of course, a lot of opportunities as a donor to come in and to help to fund some of these loans, so that more people are able to take advantage of the program. What would that look like as far as, you know, what are the needs? Are there specific needs? Is it just kind of an overall helping out with funding loans?
We are entirely donation funded. We are a nonprofit. We're a qualifying charitable organization for the Arizona Charitable State Tax Credit. So a lot of our donors donate in those increments, right? So the tax credit for this particular group, the what used to be called the Working Poor Tax Credit, is you can give, if you owe money on your state taxes, you can give up to $421 as a single or $841 as if you file jointly, and that you get that credit dollar for dollar on your taxes. So we get a lot of donors that way, and those funds come in unrestricted, and we use them to fund loans and also to fund our operations. But because the loan funds recycle, we really don't require our operating budgets. Historically, for other orgs, right, it's pretty low because we don't have a lot. The loan fund recycles itself, and then we just have to raise the money for the operations, which is, not that much. So, but people who want to donate and contribute to a loan fund, they can do that as well. So if you want to support, we're working on a resettlement loan. We haven't quite named it yet, but like folks who are coming to this country from somewhere else who might not have what they need to get started, we can assist them with some upfront costs, and we are looking to fund that program, being able to eliminate some of the barriers, right? So they might not have someone who can guarantee their loan, or they might not be working long enough yet to show, a history of affordability. So we're looking for donors to seed that money, and then we're also looking for folks to be what we call angel guarantors, and that's for basically folks who don't have access to the kind of family support that they would need to get a certain level of loan. We can then back up that loan, guarantee that loan with angel funds, right? So somebody who says, I believe in this person and I will guarantee the loan. That is an enormous help to folks who are struggling and don't have the kind of support that they wish they had.
Well, and I'm thinking of someone who needs a car to get into work, or whose car broke down, or who doesn't have enough money for gas that week to get to work. Those kinds of things, if you're giving to someone, would it be possible to say specifically, I'm making a donation to help people who are trying to get to work or trying to get a job, just kind of a general, this is what's on my heart and I just want to fund some loans?
I think that would fall under our Opportunity Loan Fund. So folks who are struggling and might not normally qualify, but it doesn't mean that they can't make a loan payment. It doesn't mean that they're not worth investing in. And so it sounds to me like someone who has that interest could absolutely, they could make their donation and say, this is to fund the Opportunity Loan Fund, or they could just restrict it and say the specifics like you just described, and we could find a way to make it work. We would just hold the funds, and when somebody applied for a loan for a car, which we see probably every week, we would deploy the funds then. We work with the donors. We're small enough, we're nimble, and we can just work with the donors to honor donor intent in the most meaningful way.
And we don't have a lot more time, but if someone did want to get involved a little bit more, possibly be part of the process of going through some of these applications, or to some way be a little bit more personally connected, who do they reach out to and how do they do that?
Well, they reach out to me because I am the person. So yes, we actually are looking for folks to volunteer on our loan approval committee. People who will review loans. They're anonymous, right? Everything's blacked out except the data that we need to approve. And we typically ask 3 volunteers to look at each loan application and have a conversation about reaching a consensus for approval. So we're always looking for more folks to serve on that committee. We train them and provide them a policy manual, and it's not that hard, and it's really rewarding.
And can you give us the phone number and website one more time?
www.thefreeloan.org, 520-297-5360, or you can email info@thefreeloan.org.
Thank you so much, Allison and John, for being here. It's been really cool to hear about this program. I think that, it's something that a lot of our listeners will be very interested to know exists and to want to be part of and support that. So it has been amazing to hear you talk about it. I do want to say thank you to our sponsor, Right Way Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. And as a reminder, you can always find the episodes On any of the major platforms, look up Center Stage Nonprofits of Tucson. Thank you so much. Stay